Hello and welcome to the first fireside chat at the cabin, and we're hoping there'll be a lot more. For those of you who haven't actually met me, I'm Sandy, and you'll meet Jerry a little bit later. The subject I've chosen for tonight is self-love, and I've chosen it because I believe it is probably one of the most critical issues facing us as we self-actualize on our path of enlightenment, if you will. And yet it's one of the most important. But before I actually get into the topic, I want to take a minute to look at why I felt having these chats might be helpful to you and to me. So for those of you who've done sessions with me before, you know that you have 3 or 5 very intensive days of finding out your individual fears and how it's affecting your life and what have been the events. And then we've done a lot of reprogramming, both consciously through awareness, and we've given you subconscious tools to use to reprogram those tape recordings in your brain. And then you go back into what I call the laboratory of life. And now the challenges begin, because the universe will always bring you exactly what you need in order to test these tools and to move on to your next place on the path. Well, I've made myself available to you by telephone and by emails, and I want to continue to do that. But I felt this, I guess I'm a very visual person, so I felt having these sessions once a month could serve as a support, as a reminder of the tools that you learned. Any places that you might feel stuck could be very supportive. So that's what I'm hoping for the people that have already done some work with me. And then I'm knowing that you have referred friends and family who've not yet made it to the cabin. And for them, I think this can serve as an introduction about a little bit about what the work is about. Because as you know, when somebody says, "What did you do?" it is very hard to explain the experientials that you went through to go deep inside of yourself and begin creating your reality from within. So I want the new people to the cabin to know that this in no way replaces the 3 to 5 days, but can serve as an introduction for you so that you can see if the work might be something you want to do. Now back to the topic. So what is the difference between love and unconditional love? Because I think we all really study that throughout our life. And certainly when we look at the inner child work we do, we see that for sure. And a way to relate this to the self-love concept would be if I said to you, do you love yourself? You know, and you might say, sure, I love myself well enough. You know, I'm in pretty good shape. I have a lot of friends. I make a pretty good income. I may even do some things for the planet. So yeah, I love myself. But now if I ask the question a little bit differently, if I said to you, so what if you were out of shape, 30 pounds overweight, had not very many friends, maybe going through a divorce? What then would you say? Would you still love yourself? Because if the answer to any of those is no, then I would be judgmental, I would be critical of myself, I would be disappointed in myself. Whatever the feeling, then your love for yourself is not unconditional. It's very conditional on you being successful at the programs that have been installed in you from, some of them from utero all the way through the age of 6. So to be aware that even though you feel like you're a fairly self-confident, successful person, you may not have that true unconditional love for self. And hopefully tonight will help you some with that. Now I find another very big misconception with self-love is that it exists outside of ourselves, in other people or in objects. And that tends to play out in the patterns I see in about 3 different ways. The first one is, I see this object or this person, and all of a sudden my heart opens and I feel just wonderful, and I love this feeling. It's what I've wanted all of my life. So now I have to own this object or this person because they are the source of the love. The truth is, the love is inside of you. That person or object is simply acting as a mirror for you. so that you open your heart and you experience your own love coming back to you. We try to install this when we do the work in a cabin through the Heart Math program, the biofeedback program, where you get to actually see what it feels like and what's going on inside of you when you open your heart to a loving space. Example of this, I'm a storyteller. You'll learn that if you haven't met with me already. But I'm also a horse whisperer. And when I went out for my horse whispering experience to Arizona, I fell in love with this big white Persian horse. It was the most beautiful thing I'd ever seen. And I swear to you, he should have had a horn coming out of his third eye. He was a unicorn for sure and very spiritual. I was so in love with this horse that it just opened my heart completely. I wanted to be around him all the time. And because the owners of the center could see that he and I had such a bond, they actually offered to sell him to me. So I really pondered that. It would mean taking this animal all the way across the country, paying trailing expenses, taking him out of a pasture where he was already sort of in a paradise with all the other horses he worked with. And on top of that, he was about 26 years old and they lived to maybe 30. So, and I, could probably access some pasture, but I traveled a lot. How was I going to do all this? But that horse was so important to me. And I can remember saying to him when I was taking him back to his corral once, I'm thinking of doing this apprenticeship, $20,000 worth. And I'm aware, I have no idea how I would use this work, but it lets me be near you. I mean, that's how strong it was. So I said, okay, if I'm supposed to do this apprenticeship, let the $20,000 come in, universe. So I go from Arizona to California to my next client. And the CEO and friend calls me aside and he says, I know we pay you for the work you do with the company and the work you do with my family, but it's been so important to us. I would like to gift you something. And bottom line, he ends up gifting me the $20,000 to do my apprenticeship with the horse work. So you see, I want you to see in that how when I opened my heart that much to love, for one thing, I brought in everything I asked the universe for. But the second thing I realized when I got home, and I'm trying to think, should I buy this horse or not? And I realized exactly what I'm trying to tell you tonight. It wasn't the horse, and I still love him very much, but it was just the ability to open my heart. He was simply a mirror. So whenever you think you have to have someone or you have to have something, to feel that love, really realize it's already there. It's inside of you. It's called self-love. Nobody can take it away from you. And then you don't need to own anybody or anything. That's a very healthy way of being. Second misconception is, particularly when we talk about manifesting and Sense the Secret, you have created a frame, a picture frame. And this frame says he or she should have this much money, should be physically attractive to me, should be on the spiritual path, whatever you've put in there. It's a frame. You already know. Now you're looking for someone that you can go hang that picture frame over. You're looking for the picture to go in your frame. You've already preconceived that. So you're looking again for the love and the attributes outside of you. Marianne Williamson says when you make a list of all the characteristics that you want in a partner, ask yourself, if that person arrived today, would they like the person I am? Because it turns out that many of those attributes that you're listing for that person, you want in yourself. Some of them you already have and you like. But again, it's about you. It's not about that other person. It's about the self-love and what you know about yourself and what realities you're trying to create for you. And then the third misconception is in my handout on the new way to be in partnership. And it basically says the old way is, if your childhood wound is that you need safety and somebody to take care of you, and my childhood wound is I need somebody to control. Now we're a perfect match. This is the chemistry we have been looking for. Only neither one of us know it. It's just an emotional attachment based on a childhood need. That's codependence, and that's what most relationships are. And somewhere in 8 months to a year, most relationships begin to take a different turn, because all of a sudden there's this unspoken contract we have to meet these needs, and somebody breaks it because we didn't even know it existed to begin with. And now all of a sudden this is not our ideal person. This is not the love that we ordered. Again, the constant comment I want you to say to yourself as you go through all the thoughts about love and unconditional love is, it's all inside of me. It's not in anyone or anything else.